Yo, it's your boy Vegabomber, and welcome to Vegabomber Land. The movie I'm talking about tonight, Marshall. So I just want you to check this out real quick. So Marshall comes out this past weekend, and it's a film that's directed by Reginald Hudlin. Now, what Reginald Hudlin is known for, among doing House Party and a few other things, is being the writer and producer of the Black Panther animated series that was on BET. I said Black Panther. He has Chadwick Boseman in this movie playing Thurgood Marshall, even though he doesn't look anything like him. Then, skip over opening night to Monday, Marvel drops Black Panther. So we get to see Chadwick Boseman in a serious movie, and then we get to see Chadwick Boseman playing a fictitious character named T'Challa of Wakanda. So, I don't know, do you think that happened by accident? Just coincidence? Oh, I know you know better than that. So Marshall is the film about the civil rights attorney who first worked for the NAACP, but then went on to be a Supreme Court justice, the first black Supreme Court justice, by the way. And he made a career. Basically, he tried about 32 cases, and out of the 32, he won 29 of them. Only 3 times did he not win. But he made a career out of defending black people who were basically losing cases because of their race. It wasn't whether they actually did it or not. It was just somebody had to allege something. There'd be prejudice there because we're talking about the era of Jim Crow, and pretty much it'd be way too easy for the person of color or the black person to lose the case because already there was bias. So that was his mission. That's what Thurgood Marshall did, and to me that's why he's a big superhero. Bigger than Black Panther, but yeah, I kind of like them both though. I like Black Panther in the fictional world, but in the non-fiction world, I love Jackie Robinson, also played by Chadwick Boseman. I love James Brown, also played by Chadwick Boseman. And now this, Thurgood Marshall. Why not? Played by Chadwick Boseman. So let me talk a little bit about the movie. Here's basically the synopsis. This movie centers around the idea of Thurgood Marshall trying cases, and this time it was in a small town in Connecticut, where it was about a black man who was a chauffeur to this rich socialite, if you will. Something bad happens, she claims that he raped her, and then boom, here we go. We have a movie. Here's Thurgood Marshall now going to find out if Joseph Spell actually indeed put his hands on that woman. And if he didn't, because the NAACP wasn't going to represent criminals, they were only going to represent people who were put in jail unfairly because of race. That was their whole thing. And we see that early on. So Thurgood Marshall only takes cases where it's somebody who basically lost the case because of their race, not necessarily because they did it, which that makes it juicy. The reason why that's juicy is because you got 3 really main characters in this film. 1, Thurgood Marshall, played by Chadwick Boseman, of course. 2, Josh Gad's character, which was a young lawyer named Sam Friedman. And then 3, Sterling K. Brown playing Joseph Spell. Now, right off the bat, what I really appreciate about this film is that this wasn't just a film that was set up in the South to show us about some good old country boys showing some good old fashion bias, if you will. This actually was set in Connecticut. So this is up north, where you kind of have more of a sophisticated kind of racism. And maybe not as blatant, but it's still there. And so I applaud Reginald Hudlin for doing that and not just doing a pickup truck with Confederate flags hanging out the back and that sort of thing. That's not the only kind of racism out there. So I love that he did that. I will say that this movie really is a legal thriller. It's also a whodunit. And I'd also say it kind of had a buddy cop vibe to it, but really a buddy attorney type thing. But anyway, let me just tell you what I loved about this film. What I loved about this film, first of all, is the script. Again, the script was written well. They didn't pick a court case that everybody knows. Most people who know about Thurgood Marshall know about Brown versus the Board of Education, which was the desegregation case that helps take the segregation right out of the schools at that time during Jim Crow laws. So everybody knew that one, and I'm glad he didn't grab the most known case. He grabbed a case, and when I say he, Reginald Hudlin grabbed a case because he wanted to get one that maybe not everybody knew. Therefore, it could be thrilling, and then now you want to see this court drama. How does he really get off, if he gets off at all? And if he does, what's the line of reasoning they use? What's that last piece that needs to be said in order to get somebody free? Are there any twists in the courtroom? You get all of that. It's a solid film from that perspective. So I love the script. I would say that the characterizations were great. So I'll start with, I'll start with Sterling K. Brown. He did a great job playing Joseph Spell, a character that you never heard of, but he played that character. The performance was, this dude was a guy who's made some mistakes. Yeah, he had a checkered past, but he was still a guy. He was still a humble guy, and there was reasons why he did some of the things he did. And so the way Sterling Brown played it, it didn't come off like just your stereotypical thug who's just sitting down going, I don't know why I did that. It had more layers to it than that. And when he does his reveal, that's incredible. I also like Chadwick Boseman. Chadwick Boseman, of course. Well, how could he not? Mainly because Chadwick Boseman doesn't look anything like Thurgood Marshall. In fact, Thurgood Marshall is about my skin tone, right? And of course, Chadwick's obviously darker than me. He's probably closer to my shirt. But Thurgood Marshall, right here, right? But when you see him perform and play this character that he doesn't look anything like, and he doesn't try to mimic him, he doesn't try to throw out a funky voice, he just plays him so that when you play him, you see Thurgood Marshall even though it doesn't look for him. And for that, he's just got that down. He knows how to do that. When he played James Brown, he also didn't look like James Brown, but he did it without it being cheesy. So I appreciated that. I would also say that Josh Gad, again, plays it. He's usually known for some of his comedy, but in here, he plays a young lawyer that hadn't tried a case yet. He's doing civil law. He's basically doing insurance claims if he can get them. And now here he is about to try a Supreme Court case, a big case, a landmark case. And he's just not sure if he could do it. And then, of course, there's the public looking at him like, why would you do this for this felon, for this thug, for this person? So you can imagine all that. And so the way Josh Gad plays that, it's severely of note. Like, Academy, pay attention to how he did that. Because this dude, it's not just a funny guy. He has range. And by the way, there is some humor in here. And that's the third thing I really liked about this film. There is some well-placed humor in this film. It's not dour and dreary just because it's during Jim Crow. The humor is very smart. And when it's thrown in there, there's no nod, nod, wink, wink to it. It's just said so smoothly that you go, I see what they did there. So no, you're not going to go fall out of your chair. But when they do it, you're going to smile and you're going to go, I see what they did there. That's clever. Another thing that I liked about the film was also the score itself. The score has wonderful jazz music, a little touch of some jazzy hip hop. It's also on the soundtrack. And of course, Common is on that soundtrack, so you really can't do bad with that. But I thought the music, the background music, it had its own smooth style. And it sounds like the 40s. So this movie took me there. It took me there. The action made me go, okay, I can see why they do that. And then the characters' motivations, well thought out, well played, and well performed. So yeah, this movie had me right there in its hands going, yes, yes, next scene please. Yes, the next scene, yes. Ooh, how's this going to end? I was right there. They had me in the pocket. So if I talk about negatives, I would say that perhaps the only negative here is the marketing. Like, most people didn't even know this film was coming out. You might say that the beginning is a little edited, a little clunky, but those are nitpicks. So marketing, maybe a little clunky editing in the first part of the movie, but once it hits stride, it rolls, and you're with it. You're gone. So to me, I think that movie was spectacular. It's one of the best movies. It was extremely satisfying to watch, and yes, I will own it on DVD. Anyway, I'm done talking. Now I want to hear what you think. So let me know, who's your favorite iconic figure that's ever been portrayed in a movie, biopic, so forth. Let me know who that is. Anyway, it's your boy Vegabomber, and I am out. You